I know I can get it.
I know you. Very confident.
Very confident.
You say it so easily. Why?
Because I believe in
Let me tell you why. What she said it with so much confidence the first time. But you keep on going. Listen, we can't keep interrupting. I mean, if you want, you got to understand that you're dealing with an image of a 14-year-old child. And this child won't be out there playing with your old ass and ego in the grave. When she says something, we done told you what's happening. You're dealing with a little black kid, and let her be a kid. She'll answer it with a lot of confidence. Leave that alone.
This is our first Grand Slam. Let's give everyone the credit where credit's due, and let's not boo anymore.
Has it been difficult to get used to the new level of fame that you have? You've pretty much become a global superstar over the last 12 months by winning in Australia and New York.
Let's leave. So I feel like okay. I'm sorry, we have to leave that there.
Thank you.
Whilst you are scripting your video for Sunday, I am sat here attempting to record a non-scripted video for Sunday as well, because I promised you that I would, and I promised you that I would get back up in front of the camera. It's been a month, and I subjected you to an hour's worth of excuses why I can't do it. The need for social approval, the commercial odds that are stacked up against me, every possible reason one could possibly think of that meant that it was a bad idea to do YouTube. And truth be told, I think that YouTube is a pretty tough place. In a fair world, we would be paid per video and we wouldn't have to bust our asses off for ages before we saw a cent in our bank account. I will not complain about the system. Okay, right, so I promised you that I would do another My Favorite Thing video. We all have more than one favorite thing. When we were talking today, I got really passionate about what's been in the news recently with Naomi Osaka. So for those of you that don't know, Osaka withdrew from the French Open after winning the first round of the tournament, like yesterday or the day before yesterday. The rules are for tennis players need to sit down in a press conference room within half an hour of completing their match. Win or lose, whatever mood they're in, that's the rules of professional tennis. And as an athlete, it's your responsibility to talk to the media. That's why you get paid. It's obviously never been questioned. However, Naomi Osaka tweeted that she would not be attending any press conferences for the French Open. She said she was doing it to protect her mental health. So she won the first round, and then, as she expected, she received a $15,000, I believe, fine from Roland Garros for not attending the press conference. And then there was this huge media buzz about potential expulsion from the entire tournament. I don't know to what extent that was true or just media hype. Obviously, it got to her, and it had further damaging effects on her mental health, to the point that she then tweeted another letter saying that she would be withdrawing from the French Open to protect her mental health. So a couple of key points that she made was that she doesn't take the issue of mental health lightly, and she wouldn't say it if it wasn't something that she was genuinely trying to protect, and that she had suffered with long bouts of depression and anxiety ever since winning the US Open in 2018.
I wouldn't blame my age on anything. I've done a lot of good things, and I've done a lot of bad things, but I'm not the type of person that would say, because I'm young, I can get away with doing certain things.
So as a very young player, I believe she is only 23 now, she is struggling to get to grips with her face and her voice being on a global stage to the entire world. I can't even get in front of this camera to record a video on YouTube for basically nobody. So I completely understand how she feels. And not only that, she said in her letter that she's always been shy, she's a very introverted character, and she finds it incredibly difficult to do. So she was genuinely trying to find a way to manage her mental health. There's been a huge fuss about whether or not she's going to win her first ever clay title because she struggles on the clay and that affects her confidence. And she basically said, why would she subject herself to the media when she knows that it's going to have an impact on her performance?
And how do you go about sort of restoring your confidence after this? What do you do over the next few days to pick yourself up? Who helps you do that now?
I don't know. There's answers to questions that you guys ask that I still haven't figured out yet.
The rules are slightly outdated and archaic and kind of need to be discussed and changed in order to have more care for future tennis players' mental health.
Sorry.
It's okay.
It's okay. It's okay.
Sure. What do you think you're going to learn from this experience ultimately?
I'm just going to take it one match at a time and just play within myself.
For me, this is such an important moment personally. I can't stress enough how many strong but vulnerable women that Naomi Osaka represents by making such a bold decision. A decision to basically walk away from something that she loves and works ridiculously hard for in order to make it very clear that this is something that needs to be addressed because she can't handle it. It really changes the narrative around mental health. The fact that you can be a strong woman and also be vulnerable at the same time. The fact that you don't have to do the thing to show that you are strong. Sometimes showing you're strong means walking away from the thing you love in order to protect yourself. Strength of character is self-care. And that's a side that a lot of people don't see. The media absolutely lap up vulnerable players. And audiences watching, of course, they feel hugely sympathetic and wish that those players didn't have a hard time. But they're loving watching that. Naomi has, like many tennis players who have burst out into tears in the press conference room, or have been unable to speak, or had their heads lowered with their caps over their eyes to cover their tears. It's ridiculous. Like this is like mental health. This is not something that anybody wants to be subjected to. They want to play tennis, and they're good at it. I'm not going to sit here and cry in front of a camera, even though there are so many things that I wish that I was brave enough to talk about. So how can the world be so cruel sometimes and expect so much from these people? It was the right thing for her to do. Not only that, she's also taking a stand by being a strong representative, a woman of color. So that's something that I can talk about with passion. I just wanted to say that I hugely support Naomi in her decision, and I'm sure her team and her fans do as well. We always need to talk about mental health more. It's not a faddy thing to talk about. There will be critics and people who say, oh, trauma has been sensationalized. Everything is traumatic these days. Well, if somebody says something is triggering for them, are you going to turn around and say you're just making that up?
How hard is it not to have that in your head?
It's... How hard is it not to have that in my head? Very hard? I don't know how to answer that.
it kind of doesn't matter whether it's like clinically diagnosed trauma or not. It's somebody trying to say it's triggering them. I'm literally doubting myself right now. Would I have delivered it better if I'd scripted it? Probably. Would I have been as passionate if I'd scripted it? Probably not. Which is the right way to go? Eloquence or passion? Or is that something that you just learn how to do over time? All I know is that I'm sat here right now recording this video for you because I promised you that I would publish something before Sunday. Peace. Over and out.
Against Serena Williams. How does the reality compare with the dream?
I'm gonna sort of differ from your question. I'm sorry.
No problem.
She was.
Hello. Sorry, public speaking isn't really my strong side. So I just hope I can get through this.
Could you ever have imagined in the middle of the first set, it was 3-all, that it could be that easy?
It wasn't easy.
It looked it.
No, I was really stressed out the entire time. But I'm really happy I could end it fast.
Not caught up in a lot of bad stuff.
How do you know I'm not caught up in that stuff?
What was going on under that towel? Were you knitting? What were you doing?
My speech, because I'm not very good at talking.
Yeah. Gee, you seem so outgoing and boisterous.
And it's so important to stay thoroughly invested in these players' career, because sometimes when you just read off the varnished triumphs that they've had and you forget about the obstacles that they've had to overcome, the suffering that she would have gone through mentally there, it makes their journey even more remarkable. You look back and feel as though it was always going to be inevitable in 5 years' time that she won this, but to overcome those 3 championship points in the manner that she lost them, to then come through that final set, just adds a whole new dimension to her character and to her champion qualities.
Maybe like as I go on, it won't seem as hard.
I don't think I would have made it through this week without you guys, and behind a tennis player is always a team, and I'm really grateful, so thank you guys.